Namaste. Welcome to this session. We have commenced deliberating on the Sutra 1.29 Tata Pratyak Chetanadigama Api Antaraya Bhavasya. So, we were considering the question that if Om, Pranava or Om is denoter of Ishvara, then by Pranavopasana, Ishvara should be revealed, realized. How come that here there is a mention that the Pratyagatma is realized, the finite soul is realized? Because if Om is name of that Almighty, that divinity, that internal transcendent principle, immanent transcendent principle, if that is denoter of Ishvara, it should only reveal Ishvara. But I was telling you about the mysticism, that very Bhagwan Nama or the Nama Sadhana or Mantra Sadhana or Pranav Sadhana first takes us closer to ourself. Because that principle which is to be realized, revealed, is an Antaryami. That principle, the Ishvara principle, resides within the heart. It is indweller of our Atma. Our Atma is also an embodiment. It is also Shariram. And there is a Shariri for our Atma. So, I told you about that Shruti Khanda from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Antaryami Brahman. There it is said, Ya Atmani Tishthan, one who resides in the heart of within the Atma, inside the Atma. Ya Atmani Tishthan, Ya Atmanam Veda. For the Atma doesn't know him. Yasya Atma Shariram, whose Atma itself is body. Just as we have this body of the nature of skin, flesh, muscles, bones, tissues, cells, body, mind, senses. This is our body. Our Atma doesn't have senses. Our Atma doesn't have, it gets a body, and therefore the Bhajya Karanas and Antakaranas come in the body. So, this is Sharira. And then our self is Shariri. But then our self itself is Shariram. Whose Shariram? Of the Antaryami. Of the Antaryami, Bhagwan, the Antararama, the Atma Rama, the Vasudeva. So our Atma is also body, who doesn't know. Just as we do not know our Antaryami, the Atma also doesn't know the Antaryami. Being Sharira, being body of the Amrita Purusha, Purusha Vishesha, Amrita Purusha, Purushottama, Antararama, Atma Rama, it doesn't know its self. So we have a self which is called finite self, metaphysical self, that is Purusha, Purusha Tattva. But that itself is a body of Paramatma. And it doesn't know it. So one who is inside it is Antaryami Amrita Purushaha. So when the Ishvara is realized, you should recall in the last session I told you that yes, it is realized, and the realization of the finite self is included in it. And for that purpose, Vartikara, Vijnana Bhikshu, has an interesting statement. ततः ईश्वर प्रणिधानात् तत्साक्षात्कार द्वारा जीवतत्वम अपि अनासायेन पूर्णतया साक्षात् क्रियत इति प्रथमदलार्थः. प्रथमदलार्थ means in the sutra, the earlier part of the sutra, तथा प्रत्यक् चेतनादिगम प्रत्यक् चेतनादिगम is the earlier part of the sutra. That pratyek chetana adhigamaha is the purvadala. Now, so there is no incompatibility, because if you are going to reach the divinity, you are going through the gate to enter the abode of divinity within, and the gate is of the house of divinity. That house of divinity is our finite metaphysical self called Purusha Tattva, Atma Tattva. So he says, Anasayena Purnataya Sakshat Kriyate iti. Anasayena. So, although that is not intended, it happens that when you reach the divinity within, or when the yogi reaches the divinity within, very naturally the Atma too is realized. And then Vyasa also gives a kind of statement which also conveys the same thing, that Jivatma Sakshatkar is implied in Paramatma Sakshatkar. It is not possible that Paramatma Sakshatkar is had, but Jivatma Sakshatkar is not had. It is implied. Yathaiva Ishvaraha, just as the Ishvara is, how is he? Purushaha. He is Purusha Tattva. Shuddhaha, Prasannaha, Kevalo, Anupasargaha, तथायाम अपि बुद्धेः प्रतिसंवेदी पुरुष इति. Just as Ishvara is Purusha Tattva, Chinmatra, Shuddha, untouched by any blemish, Prasannaha, is never tormented, never in sorrows, also Kevali, also the isolated kind of thing, not touched by Prakriti, that is, and Anupasargaha, not at all afflicted or inflicted by Prakriti functioning. Similarly, one who is inside the Buddhi, Buddhyantaryami, he is also the Pratisavvedi Purusha, is similarly metaphysical entity, untouched, indestructible, immutable, etc., etc. So there is that similarity. Then Bhagavad Gita, Mamayvatma Jiva Bhute Mamayvama Jiva Bhute Jiva Loke Sanatanaha. In the Jiva Lokam, the Jiva is my part, is my fragment. Mamayeva Anshaha, he is my part. So therefore, Pranava revealing Pratyagatma doesn't have any incompatibility. So that is what the point we were discussing the last time. So, Ishvara Pranidhana also implies Swarupa Darshanam. Not only Paramatma Darshanam, Paramatma Sakshatkar, but also Swarupa Darshanam. And here Vijnana Bhikshu has quoted a verse from Naradiya Puranam or Narada Puranam. Maya Pravartak Sriman Narayana, Vishnu, who is Maya Pravartaka, one who has very strong bhakti in Vishnu, they get the sakshatkar that the Purusha is Prakriti Bhinna. The Purusha is distinct, totally distinct, separate, independent of Prakriti. And this knowledge comes crystal clear. So, if you are actually Vishnu Upasaka, so when you do Vishnu Upasana, when you are Vishnu Bhakta, you also realize the Atma Tattva, because Atma Tattva is the body, Shariram of Antaryami. So, his quotation that you find in Brihanaradiya Puranam is Maya Pravartake Vishnau Dhrudha Bhakti Kruta Nrunam Sukhena Prakriter Bhinnam Swam Darsheti Deepavat. So, like a flame of a light, which you see very clearly without any ambiguity. This distinction between Prakriti and Purusha is had by Vishnu Bhakti. So, anyway, we have tried to solve this problem, that how Pranava Sadhana or Nama Sadhana or Onkar Sadhana can give self-realization when it is said to be denoter of Ishvara. So, to whatever extent possible, I have offered explanation here. Now, let's see the reference of this sutra here. How this sutra has come. The Pranavopasana has been mentioned. Tasya vachaka pranavaha tajjapas sadartha bhavanam. So with that, it is a kind of upasana. It is Pranavopasana. It is Yogopasana. It is Samadhi Upasana. It is Bhagavadopasana. And with that, Pratyak Chetana realization has been mentioned. The Pratyagatma Sakshatkar, Pratyak Chetana Sakshatkar has been mentioned. And this has been also supported by the Shrutis, the Shastras, which we saw now. The Jiva and Ishvara, both are objects of Sakshatkar. When the Ishvara is realized, Jiva Sakshatkar is implied. So, see, the Artha Bhavana of Pranava will later include this aspect as well. Now, the question is how, with Artha Bhavana so strongly manifest in Japa, how come that there is Sakshatkar? Because for Sakshatkar there must be Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Now, when Artha Bhavana is so important, and Artha Bhavana is not parted with at all, cannot be parted with, should not be parted with, then with the Artha Bhavana on the surface of the Chitta, how come that there is Chitta Vritti Nirodha which is going to give Sakshatkara? Now, in Asampragnat Samadhi, that mysticism, I want you to recall, which we discussed while we were dealing with Asampragnat Samadhi, the Sutra 1.18, Virama Pratyabhyasa Purva Samskara Shesho Nyaha. So, the Pranava, the Pranavartha is there in the mind, but then it is Pranidhana. Pranidhana means prakarshena nidhiyate anena iti pranidhanam. That means your chitta will dissolve into artha bhavana. It is such an artha bhavana in which the chitta dissolves. Like sugar dissolves in water, salt dissolves in water. It doesn't stay in water, it dissolves in water. You can't maintain the sugar as sugar while you have dropped it into water. You can't maintain the salt as salt in water once you have dropped salt into water. It is going to dissolve into water. Similarly, this artha bhavana, the artha of pranava is such that the chitta gets dissolved. And chitta getting dissolved, itself is chitta vritti nirodha. And that is how this pranidhana is. The word pranidhana has this meaning with which it is throbbing. And because we do not stick to this word, that's why we get this doubt. How the pranava, meaning of pranava will be in the mind and still the chitta vritti nirodha will take place. The pranava artha is such an artha, it is such a meaning that it is like salt getting into water, where the salt cannot have its identity. Sugar dissolving into water, where sugar doesn't maintain its identity. Similarly, artha bhava, once the chitta falls into artha bhava or artha bhava falls into chitta, it will not stay. Like sugar in water make it sweet water. Salt in water will make it salt water. But if you drop a pebble in the water, the pebble is going to stay as pebble. The dust is going to stay as dust. If you drop some sand in water, the sand is not going to dissolve. The sand is going to remain sand. Pebble is going to remain as pebble. A stone is going to remain as stone in water, because they don't dissolve. But this pranava artha is such that chitta will dissolve in it, and therefore there will be no chitta vritti. So that also an incidental question which arose has been answered. So then still a question that still perhaps lingers in mind of someone. Pranava is not swarupa vachaka. Pranava is not the denoter of our Atma. It is Ishvara vachaka, which has been expressly mentioned. So Vachya vachaka sambandha has been established between Ishvara and Pranava, Ishvara and Om, not between the self and Om. So it is proper that by Om or Pranava, Ishwar Sakshatkar only takes place and not Jiva Sakshatkar. So this will be a little intellectual argument, and therefore this question will come up. But we have just now seen the answer to it, because the Atma is Shariram and the Paramatma is Shariri. And just as unless you enter the house, you can't be meeting the person who is in that house. So the Atma is house, and therefore you will enter the house. That means you will see the house and then reach the housed. So that's the mysticism. So the Antaryami Brahmana beautifully describes this in the mantra. Ya Atmane Tishtan, Ya Atmanam Veda, Yasya Atma Shariram, Ya Atma Antaro iti, Sa Atma Amruta Purushaha. So that's the Antaryami Sutra, which comes best in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And therefore, this question is also answered. So in Shastras we are told about Jiveshwara Sambandha, Jivatma Paramatma Sambandham. So there is a relationship between Jivatma, Paramatma, Purusha and Purusha Vishesha, the Kutastha Purusha and a Purushottama. Jiveshwara, the relationship has been mentioned. There is Anshi Sambandha. Then Swarupam, both are Chinmatra. So both are Chinmatra, both are Purusha Tattva. So there is that similarity to some extent. So there is some kind of similarity, some kind of dissimilarity. One is Gnya, the other one is Agnya in one sense. One is taking bite at fruits of karma. If you recall that metaphor of the tree, one bird sitting on the lower branch takes bite of various fruits. Some are bitter, some are sweet, some are salty, so it makes faces. While the other bird, which is on a little higher branch, is just neutrally witnessing. So, the Shastras have mentioned this relationship. Somewhere there is difference, somewhere there is non-difference. They are similar but not similar. They are dissimilar but not dissimilar. And then the concept of whole and part. One is the whole, the other one is part. And therefore, it can be said that by knowing the whole, the part is also known. So, with that, again, this logical question is again answered by logic, because this was a kind of argument brought logically. Pranava is nomenclature, denoter of Ishvara, and therefore Pratyak Atma cannot be realized, finite self cannot be realized. But then the relationship between the two is of the nature of whole and part. So if the whole is realized, part is realized. So that's how logical question has been also logically answered. But there are certain doubts, by the very strong intelligence that one might be possessing. He says one is infinite, another is finite principle. That Paramatma is infinite principle and Jivatma is a finite principle. But then finite to what extent? If it is infinitesimally finite, then how can you say that by knowing this you know that as well? So he puts an argument here. See, the entire creation on the planet by way of living and non-living things, all kinds of life, and even that which is natural thing like mountains and the nature, etc. Now it is all solar. It is all solar energy that is transformed into various matters on the planet. Now, if you just pick up a speck of dust from ground, you can't say that by knowing this you will know the whole sun which has generated this creation on the planet. So, how will someone know such an infinitesimally finite dust particle taken in the hands, looking at it, knowing it? How can you claim that you know that sun which is 93 million miles away from here? So this is a kind of argument that can come. But you see, if you have little knowledge of the parinamantaram, then you will be able to deduce something. Because the sun, solar energy has got transformed into various matters, and dust particle is a matter which has been turned out by solar energy processes. So you can again logically deduce and then find that yes, this dust particle is inherently solar energy transformation into matter. So that also can be answered that way. Uh, so here Ishvara has Niratishe Sarvagna Bijam on one hand. He is Anadi Ananta Guru, while the Jivatma is full of Anaishwaryam. Jivatma is Agnya as well. If you recall the Shvetashvatar quotation, the cause is Gnya and this effect is Agnya. Yeah, that's how it is. The cause has Aishwaryam of infinitude, and this is the one which is with full of Anaishwaryam. Yes, perfectly right. It is true. But you can still, by philosophical thought process, you will see that there is somewhere that kind of similarity when you go to metaphysics. That this is immutable, that is immutable. This is eternal, that is eternal. This is consciousness principle, that is consciousness principle. This is Chinmatra, that too is Chinmatra. So all this process has taken place in our philosophical argumentations. And therefore, the satisfaction is provided to the inquisitive mind. And the relationship between the two has been established in so many ways. If you recall that Mundaka Shruti, which we considered, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhayam Samanam Bruksham Parishasvajate. Now, they are also Sayuja, they are Sakha, they are friends. They are also friends. So understand how, if there are two very good friends, can you say that there is nothing shared between the two? So naturally there will be some sharing when these two are Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhayam. They are Sayuja and Sakha. So they are together and they are friends. Now, how can you say that nothing is being shared between the two? So certain things are definitely shared. So we have to understand this relationship between Jiveshwara. So the Shastras, you must look into Shastras and get to know about relationship. The Bhagavad Gita quotation was given to you during delineation on bhakti. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasam sharanam surat. So he is everything. So with the jiva, he is related in every way. He is the father of the jiva, he is mother of the jiva, he is friend of the jiva, he is the resort of the jiva, he is sakha of the jiva. So jiva paramatma sambandham must be deeply ingrained in the chitta. Then the doubts will not come up. Then the example that we have just now discussed between sun and dust particle. So yet there is ansha-anshi sambandham. And therefore there will be somewhere some similarity. Apparently you will see total dissimilarity between dust particle and ray of sun. But then it is solar energy transformed into matter. So you will find the cause, the energy in the matter in any case. And then the modern physics also tells you that energy can be, as it transforms into matter, matter can be transformed into energy. If you give this velocity of light to dust particle, it will become energy. So that's how this question has been answered, which was a moot question in the sutra, that how Pratyagatma can be realized. So therefore there is no illogicality, or there is no dearth of any reasoning or any reasoning. I also recall another quotation from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.3.7 and 8. Katam Atma Yo Ayam Vijnanamaya Praneshu. Who is this Atma who is within the Vijnanamaya? So, you know the Panchakoshas, Vijnanamaya Atma is outer layer of Anandamaya Atma. Vijnanamaya Atma is body of Anandamaya Atma. Anandamaya Atma is embodied in Vijnanamaya Atma. So the question is, who is this Atma who is within Vijnanamaya? And that's how in Upanishads the inquiries have been there about Ishvara and Paramatma. So, then, as I quoted the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in the Antaryami Brahmana, where the Vijnana term has come in Madhva recension, and in Madhyandina recension you get the word Atma. So, ya vijnane tishthan, ya vijnanam antaro, yam vijnanatma na veda, yasya vijnanam shariram, ya vijnanam antaro yama iti satatma antaryami amruta. This is how you get the passage in Kanva recension. But in Madhyandina recension, you get it as ya atmani tishthan, ya atmanam antaro yamatma na veda, yasya atma shariram, ya atmanam antaro yamayiti, sat atma antaryamyam amrutaha. So Vijnanatma and Atma are for the same entity, the names, in Shatapada Brahmanam or Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So, and then Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Vruddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. So it's indweller. It is the indweller. Ishvara is the indweller, and therefore Pratyagatma realization by Om doesn't stand any logicality. It stands any illogicality. So there is no illogicality at all in such statements. Anyway, this sutra is also divulging another aspect which is veiled by mysticism. So Pranava is not only one which, being the nomenclature of Ishvara, will be giving Ishvara realization, but it also works for Papanasham. Japet purvarjitanam tu papanam nashahetave is what Yoga Tattva Upanishad says, that Pranava does so many things. If you recall, we had deliberated on this, that it does so many things. Like Ishvara Pranidhana does so many things, Ishta Prapti, Anishta Nivrutti, your wellness and well-being here, to wellness and well-being, an ultimate sense of the term, which is Parama Purushartha. So that's how this Pranava is really a master key. And Antaraya Bhava has been mentioned in the second part of this sutra by Pranava Sadhana or Ishvara Pranidhana by way of Pranava or the Nama will also obliterate your mountain of sins which you have accumulated throughout your existence. So it is a papanashaka. It is vigna, that therefore it is vignanashaka, and therefore antaraya bhava. So what is it that it doesn't do? So that's why this is mantra raja. Pranava is a marvel, Nama is a marvel, Om is a marvel. It will do so many things. On every plane, it will do the work of sanitizing the path towards spirituality. And therefore, I quoted a verse from Yoga Tattva Upanishad, then Yoga Chudamanya Upanishad, Sarva Vigna Haro Mantra, Pranava Sarva Doshaha. Pranava Sarva Doshaha. It will destroy all doshas, all defects. The Pranava will do that. So this is what Yoga Chudamani Upanishad says. So also one will be untouched by the sins and Prakriti matters by Pranava. So Pranava, like you apply oil to your body and then water doesn't touch your skin. So similarly, Pranava Japa does so many things. In Bhagavad Gita, 7.14, Mam eva prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Those who take resort in me, recourse to me, will go across the Maya, get across the ocean of Maya. They will cross over the Maya, the mire of Maya. So, Mam eva prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. 7.14 in Bhagavad Gita. So also in 7.29, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashrita Yatantite. If you take recourse into me, Jara Marana Mokshaya, you will be free from Jara Maranam. See, that means what Patanjali is mentioning, Vyadhi Adi Antarayas, Jara Marana, is something aspect of Vyadhi itself. So that is also possible by Pranava. For materialistic people, an example can be given as to what the money can do. What all the money can help you buy. You know, there are so many, all the things, material things you can buy by money. You can buy by money. Money is such a thing by which you can buy so many things, so many services, so many objects that you want. Objects that you want and services that you want, you can buy through money. So what money is in mundanity, every kind of service can be had by money. Every kind of consumable object can be taken by money. You can buy food, you can buy machines, you can buy a car, you can buy anything. The Om is same in Paramartha. Nama is same in Paramartha. Whatever you need in spiritual realm, the mantra, the pranava, the nama is the currency. Is the currency that you can get everything that you need in spiritual path, adhyatmic path, paramarthika path. Although it is just Bhagwan Nama, it is just Nama of that your personal deity, it does so many things. So Nama Mahima is a different thing in Adhyatma to be studied, to be assimilated, to be understood. The Nama Mahatmya, the Pranava Mahatmya, the Mantra Mahatmya, what the mantras can do, what the Bija mantra like Om can do, what the Bija mantras and mantras can do, what the Nama can do. It's a study that comes in Mantra Shastra and Bhakti Shastra. Bhakti Shastra will tell you what the Nama can do, what all the Nama can do. It is nothing that Nama cannot do in Paramartha. Therefore, there is such an importance given to Nama Sadhana, Nama Sankirtanam, Nama Shravanam, Nama Smaranam. It's fabulous means. And we have already seen that Nama itself is Pranava for us. Pranava itself is Nama. Because that is one of the Namas. And we have profused Artha Bhavana for the Nama of our personal deity. So, it is like currency in Paramartha. You take money and you go out in the mundane world, material world, and you buy whatever you want. You take whatever you need. You can acquire all that you want by money in the material realm. What money is in material realm, Nama is in spiritual realm. So now you should understand the value of Nama. Otherwise, Many people are still stuck, many of us are still stuck, not recognizing the Nama Mahatmya, the importance of Nama. We have understood the importance of money to whatever extent, more or less extent. But even those who are in the path of spirituality today have not understood the Nama Mahatmya. It is really the money for your journeys in Paramartha, for your voyages in Paramartha, for your sojourn in Paramartha. So the Nama is so important, and Patanjali in his Pranava topic is also implying all this. And Patanjali is mentioned that Ishwar Pranidhana mitigates, obliterates, destroys antarayas. This purport is also available in Shvetashvatar Upanishad 1.11. Gnatva devam sarvapashapahanihi क्षीणो क्लेश जन्म मृत्युर प्रहाणी. Gnatvad evam, by just knowing Ishwar Pranidhana, by knowing him or by worshipping him, sarva pashapahani, all pashas, all binding forces are cut asunder. All binding shackles are cut asunder. Kshino klesha janma mrityu prahani. Even the kleshas and janma mrityu aspects are also mitigated, set aside. So this is what even the Upanishads have mentioned. It's not only Patanjali who has mentioned or related pranava sadhana to antaraya bhava. So the antaraya bhava is also function or efficacy of nama, of pranava. I recall a wonderful verse, which is well-known verse, which comes in Gita Mahatmyam. There is a passage called Gita Mahatmyam, which speaks about glory of Bhagavad Gita. So there it is said, Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim satkrupa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Madhavam is Shri Krishna. Mukam karoti vachalam. The dumb people will start, not only they will be speaking, but they will become chatterbox. Pangum langete girim, the lame person will cross over the mountains. That is what the Satkrupa is. And therefore, Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Therefore, we must bow down to Madhava. We must bow down to Sri Krishna. We must bow down to Bhagavan. So if it is doing all that, how come that you can say that it will not remove your vyadis, dhyana, samshaya, pramada, alasya, virati, bhranti, darshana, alabdha bhumikata, anavasti tattva, etc. Then its accompanying factor, dukkha, dharmanasya, ankamejata, shvasa, prashvasa, etc., which we are going to discuss later. So, Patanjali is well within the lines in mentioning that there is antaraya bhava. So that's why, if you recall, I said, if you do not realize Ishvara, you will realize Pratyekatma. If you don't realize Pratyekatma, at least your obstacles in yoga will be removed, mitigated, or destroyed even. So this is what Pranidhana, Ishwar Pranidhana does. I recall passages from Vishnu Sahasranama prelude and epilogue. You get a prologue and epilogue to Vishnu Sahasranama. So there it has been mentioned. Na bhayam kinchadapnoti, no kind of fear by Shravanam of Vishnu Sahasranama or Smaranam or Kirtanam. You may chant, or you may hear, or you may mentally say, mentally recite. So, na bhayam kinchidapnoti. Kinchid, not even slightest fear will be there. You will come across that obstacle, because fear is obstacle in so many, every aspect of our life. Fear is a major obstacle. So also there is a kind of fear in spiritual pursuit. So you will not have that. And common man is engulfed by fear. You and me are engulfed by fear. We have n number of fears. That's why we have become more limited. Just because of the fear that is around us, we have become more limited, although we are already limited. So also there is a mention, rogarto muchyate rogat. Those who are afflicted by diseases will be free from diseases. So rogarto muchyate rogat bhayan muchyet bhitastu. If you are timid and afraid, you will overcome the timidity and fear. So also, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Bhayam Naivopajayate. So these are all passages from Vishnu Sahasranama, either prologue or epilogue. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. See, these are all such kind of frightening objects, or spoiling our life conditions. They are spoilers. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Bhayam Naivopajayate. So you don't have any fear of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Jara means decay and Vyadhi is disease. Mrityu is death. And spiritual person is more dreaded with Janma Mrityu, because this cycle is dreadening for spiritual seeker. This is not dreadening to a worldly man. Only death is dreadening. He doesn't see anything afraidful in Janma. But those who have spiritual wisdom, they understand this Janma Mrityu is a cycle. I just can't escape one, I must escape both. So also, na krodho, na chamasaryam, na lobho, na ashubham matihi. This is so important in Adhyatmic process. Na krodha, you should not be irksome person. Anger should not be touching your mind, psyche. It will spoil your all tapas, all restraint that you might have practiced. So also no matsaryam, nacha matsaryam. This is again a human enemy of human psyche, matsaryam. We envy, we have jealousy. Na lobha. This is again a problem to human psyche. We have this greed, avarice, longing, etc. Na ashubhamati. Not even ashubhamati. So not even ill thought will touch your mind. These are all antarayas. So the antaraya bhava aspect by pranidhana is universal in entire spiritual literature. So now we are coming to that means we have come to the second part of the sutra, which says antaraya bhavam. We considered pratyak chetana adhigamaha, and now antaraya bhava. So what is it that impedes our progress in yoga? Is that constant or constant appearance or constant presence of antarayas, the obstructions. We always counter obstructions. So our path of yoga becomes something like hurdle race. There are so many hurdles which come our way. And of course these will be described in the next sutra. They are called vignas, they are called vikshepa, they are obstructions, they are obstacles. So these are bodily obstacles or mental obstacles or combination of both. Simple thing and little interesting thing, if you sit for meditation, it more often happens to we commoners that once we close our eyes and try to go for meditation, then suddenly what comes up is simple things like yawning, sneezing, coughing, belching, the saliva coming in the mouth, the mental disturbance, the alternation in mind states. The wheel of mind goes faster for those who are not really oriented, properly qualified. The moment you sit to meditation, the mind generally becomes more disquiet than otherwise, and therefore many of the sadhakas, they come out from meditation by fretting and fuming, because their minds are more quiet when they are not in meditation. The moment they get into meditation, all sorts of turmoils on the plane of body, natural to uh, whatever, suddenly you start getting itching sensation. When you are sitting for meditation, there is no reason that they should get somewhere itching sensation, but that appears. These are all obstacles. We don't anticipate that you will be getting itching sensation here and there, but it comes. You don't expect that you will be having some kind of sneezing, etc., uh, or yawning, etc., but they do appear. So the moment you go into that realm, you start seeing that the mind is more vexed, the more tense, more disturbed. So the mind is more fugitive when you go for meditation. Mind is not so fugitive when you are not meditating. Your mind is more quiet when you are in worldly activity. But when you close your eyes and sit for meditation, the mind is monkey like. This is because we are not familiar with the process. We just try it without proper education and don't get qualified for it. Anyway, so we can counter the obstacles of yoga when you just close your eyes and sit and decide to go for some yogic practice. Once you embark on yogic practice, then you start feeling the body is stiff, unduly stiff, the body has some discomfort, some kind of niggling pain, etc., etc. While you are walking, talking, moving, you don't feel. So that's a strange thing. The antarayas are it's formidable force. The mind also becomes monkey-like. It's becoming more and more volcanic. Otherwise, the mind is not really so volcanic. So we can visualize the problems that come, and we can also experiment. Just decide to close your eyes and do some yoga, and then see your mind is a problem to you. Your body is a problem to you. Otherwise, the body is not so much a problem. So these antarayas are formidable forces when you get into such practices. And therefore, to be going for dhyana sadhana, there is dhyanopakrama given by the tradition. And we don't adhere to do that and straight away sit somewhere and close the eyes and fold the palms and try to go into dhyana. And then we face all kinds of problems. There must be formal education. How to go for dhyana. So when you have formal education, then the things are more smoother. So there are so many tricks which Adhyatma will divulge. So if you have some tricks from Jnana Yoga, some tricks from Karma Yoga, some tricks for Dhyana Yoga, some tricks for Bhakti Yoga, you are more equipped to counter these obstacles. But if you do not have anything from there, or insufficient from Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. They offer some tricks. So if we have some tricks with you, then you do not face such problems. So anyway, how to counter these conditions is what yoga in its laboratory teaches you. When the mind is becoming your own alien force, particularly when you embark upon spiritual sadhana, your mind becomes a major alien force. In worldly realm, we have aliens outside. So we look for aliens outside and we prevent them and we manage them. But when you go for spiritual practices, you will see battalion of armies which are in your mind, and the mind itself becomes alien force. Therefore, you need some formal education in yoga. When I say in yoga, the dhyana yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, every aspect, then you will be having better equipped condition to counter any attack that the mind launches on your own chitta. Anyway, we will be considering the antarayas which have been just mentioned here. So that's a separate sutra 1.30. So today we will be ending our delineation on 1.29 and we'll be proceeding to next sutra 1.30 in our next session, which will tell us about antarayas. So enough for time being. Namaskar all of you.